All right, here we are for round one. We are on the draw, and we're going to mulligan this. We can't cast a spell. We just a Shivan Reef. Got to send this back. This hand, it's a little unstable. We do have a reasonable draw if we draw any additional land. Don't want to mulligan a 5. And this hand is strong enough, I think, that if I do draw a land, with Rattleclaw Mystic into Knuckleblade, Boon Satyrs, a lot of Boon Satyrs, hopefully they're good against whatever I'm playing against, so we're going to go ahead and keep. I do think this is better than a 5-card hand. If it didn't have the Rattleclaw Mystic, if this was, say, just another creature, non-mana producing creature, I would certainly mulligan this hand. And I'd probably mulligan it if this was just an Elvish Mystic too, because the mana fixing of Rattleclaw is pretty important here. So, no land yet. Our opponent has a Sandstep Citadel, so Abzan. And Caryatid. Alright, we would love a land. We did not draw one, so pretty much game over here. I know that a lot of people will see a game like this and they're like, oh my god, you kept the one land hand, yada, yada, yada. But I think that it's important to recognize when particularly once you've mulliganed, when a one-land hand is going to be better than, or likely better than a 5-card alternative. And sometimes, you just need to hope to draw land, and that's what I was doing here. And if I don't draw a land, yeah, I'm just going to concede. Don't want my opponent to really know what's going on over here. I have information about his deck. Going to bring in Disdainful Strokes. Lightning Strike is pretty weak here. Not really very many targets, given that my opponent is playing the Caryatid version. I like bringing in Disdainful Stroke, and I think Stubborn Denial is a reasonable card. On the play, in particular, Stubborn Denial, against a lot of Abzan decks, is great for protecting your creatures, and can occasionally catch something like a Sorin. So I don't think it's a card you want a lot of, but I do think that a single copy is totally reasonable. Crater's Claws is also only okay in this matchup because there aren't really great targets for 0, and you're not really necessarily using it to finish your opponent off. So I'm going to take out one Crater's Claws also for another Stubborn Denial. Let's go ahead and submit. Our hope here, you can bring in Hunt the Hunter, which is okay in the matchup. The ability to kill like Siege Rhino off of a Knuckleblade or Pelucranos is pretty nice. The problem with Hunt the Hunter is that you're playing against a lot of removal against Abzan, and having Hunt the Hunter can be pretty awkward if you have to actually cast it into open mana, because their ability to 2-for-1 use pretty gross. So I'm just going to go ahead and submit like this. We'll obviously play first, and we're going to go ahead and keep this. This hand's great. We have all the mana we need, and lots of things to do with it. Including a mana creature to ramp us off. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get a forest. And Rattleclaw. So against Abzan, you mostly want to try and prey on the fact that you have a lot of just very efficient things that they don't really have. Ooh, so we can Knuckleblade attack here. We could play Pelucranos. I like Knuckleblade attack more than I like Pelucranos here because, as I was just about to say, you really are able to get and stay ahead of Abzan because of your ability to keep sort of the pressure on them, and being able to actually have something in play that's attacking and dealing damage to them when they're trying to sort of set up is pretty key. So playing this here next turn, if my opponent plays say Siege Rhino, I can attack with the Knuckleblade, and my opponent can't block because I can pump it. If my opponent does just play a removal spell, I can play another Knuckleblade and attack and keep getting damage in. So my opponent will also, if they do have a removal spell, have to play it in their own turn, because otherwise I could return Knuckleblade. So Knuckleballer is a pretty severe beatdown artist. in this matchup in particular. The fact that they rely on relatively expensive removal and creatures to try and actually, you know, blunt the opponent's offense means that Knuckleblade is able to do a lot of damage frequently. And if he ever gets to come to play, my opponent, you know, decides to allow me to actually cast this and not just sit here for forever. Alright, there we go. So, red mana, haste. Boom. Getcha. I'm getting over a sinus infection. My ears are like super poppy right now, so that's why I'm like just jawing like that. Probably sound terrible too. And looks like, oh no, another Sylvan Caryatid. All right, well, let's get the knuckleballing going. Give my opponent a beatdown. Additional knuckleballer. Do 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 do. Haste. Come on. Doot. This is what I'm just gonna play. Yeah. I actually do like the fact that they have the summoning sickness graphic neat now, so I can actually tell. Oh, and my opponent just conceded. Okay, well, as we see, the power of Knuckleballer. So on the draw, I like Stubborn Denial less because you are less able to just sort of get a creature into play and you know, and have additional mana to protect it. When you're on the draw, having the sort of cards that are about solidifying your advantages can be a little bit weaker. That said, there's not really, you know, I could potentially bring in Hunt the Hunter. Hunt the Hunter is even worse though on the draw because the open mana problem I was explaining before. So I'm not actually going to change my sideboarding plan here. Just sort of pointing out that it's a bit weaker when you are potentially behind. So being on the draw makes having a mana creature even more important. So hopefully we have one this game. Ah, so poppy. All right, this hand is fine. We have fetch land that can get a forest. We can play turn 1 Elvish Mystic, and we have a Rattleclaw. There's not a lot of particularly efficient removal to kill Rattleclaw. So even if we don't draw, land right away, my opponent does have Bile-Blight and kills, you know, my mana creatures. This could be bad, but we're gonna go ahead and keep it. You know, we are on the draw. We have a couple of extra shots at a land. Ooh, an Urborg. We're getting Thought Seized. Well, this makes my draw substantially worse. My opponent takes either one of these, in particular Rattleclaw, because I don't really have access to colored mana without it. My opponent just takes Elvish Mystic and we don't draw land too. That could be bad. Mostly my opponent knowing how reliant my hand is on mana creatures is the problem with this Thoughtseize too. Like my opponent can very aggressively use removal to kill my my mana creatures. Urborg also is possibly indicative. Ooh, we just took Ashcloud Phoenix. All right, well, that is better for me than if he'd taken a mana creature. I think. Oh god, I hate Urborg on Moto. Having to, you know, even my basic lands, having to choose a type is really annoying. Well, we're certainly not going to cast a second Elvish Mystic and get Bile-Blighted. Well, this could just be a match where both games come down to me just not drawing a second land, but, you know, that sort of thing happens. It is possibly an argument for playing the 24th land. Not that it's actually happening right now, but... This is this black mana, probably a removal spell of some kind. Black. Black, black, black. Okay, here is downfall. Alright, well, lovely. Attack you. I really hope there's not a Bobblite in the opposing hand here. This is a Siege Rhino, I'm guessing. Oh, no. Okay, there it is. Siege Rhino. Well, now we're in trouble, because we only have access to green mana. Alright, I'm just going to say go and play a Boon Satyr at the end of his turn. I really wish my Mystic had lived, or I had possibly just drawn a land. Because this is going to be trouble. It's going to be difficult to win with just green mana. Alright, Elspeth. Well, that couldn't be problematic at all. Alright, Rhino. My opponent doesn't have second white mana right now, actually, so... If I draw a red source that comes into play untapped, I can Crater's Claw. That's a tapped land, unfortunately. And hopefully my opponent doesn't have a white source, because that could go poorly for me. Alright. Blocking with Courser, that's fine. No white source, please. No white source. Nope, I'm dead. Oh, well, maybe not. I do have Crater's Claws. I can kill Elspeth. But I'm probably going to die to Siege Rhino and tokens. There's an Elspeth. Alright, make some guys. I will play the Boon Satyr. Alright, we're going to Crater's Claw Elspeth to death. Oh my god. We will kill Elspeth. The opponent has one card, but I am at 8, and Siege Rhino could be a problem. I'm going to take, you know, I'm actually basically dead. A spell. Oh, no, I'm actually just dead. Alright, well, we have been defeated by lack of mana. So, I mean, I did end up keeping one land hand in both of the games that I lost here, to not drawing enough land. But you know, the first one I think you know, was certainly better than the you know, chance of drawing a land is certainly higher, I think, than getting a 5-card hand that's better than that one. It's, you know, it's certainly debatable, but I think that it's better. This one, you know, I think that my hand with, you know, both Elvish Mystic and Rattleclaw, or just, you know, the possibility of actually drawing land, makes it totally a keeper. And then, you know, we got Rattleclaw killed and then just didn't draw land. So pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong in both those instances, in order to, you know, make my my keeps turn out poorly. So, you know, it happens. It's part of Magic. So hopefully we can play some more interesting games in the next couple rounds.